Dear children, kindly take out Standard 6 Social Science, Chapter 10, page number 82. The post-Mauryan period. We already know the Mauryan Empire weakened after the death of Ashoka. The successors of Ashoka could not control the empire. Now, in this lesson, we will read Contact with Distant Lands, Sangam Age, the Pandyas, the spread of the Bhakti movement, the Cholas, spread of Buddhism. Children, here the chapter begins. You might have heard about many people who leave their homes and settle down in foreign countries. Do you know that this practice was popular even as far back as 2000 years from now? The Indian history speaks of different communities that came here from outside. The means of transportation were not so advanced at that time. They must have faced a lot of difficulties in reaching the foreign source. Then, why did they choose to settle down in a foreign country? How did they contribute to establish links between India and the outside the world? Let us find out. Contact with distant lands. India has a long history of contact or interaction with distant lands. Contact between lands can occur in different ways. Next, we will see introduction through trade. You have read about the northern black polished ware in the previous chapter. These fine potteries were found from several archaeological sites throughout the subcontinent. Traders may have carried them from the place where they were made to sell them at other places. South India was famous of gold, spices, especially paper and precious stones. Paper was particularly valued in the Roman Empire, so that it was known as black gold. There must have been quite a lot of trade, as many Roman gold coins have been found in South India. Introduction through religion. For example, the spread of Buddhism from India to Central Asia, East Asia, and Southeast Asia. Introduction through migrations. For example, the migration of the Aryans into India and the far reaching impact they had on the Indian society and culture. Contact through conquest. For example, the conquest of northwest India by tribes from Central Asia like the Sakas and the Kusanas, and the Tamil conquest of Southeast Asia. The northern kingdoms. The Sangha dynasty 185 BCE to 73 BCE. In Magadha, the last Mauryan king Brihadrata was killed by his army commander Pushyamitra Sangha and founded a new dynasty called the Sangha dynasty in about 185 BC. Pushyamitra Sangha was a brave general and a powerful ruler. As a mark of celebration, Pushyamitra performed the Ashwamedha Yajna and consequently assumed the title of Maharaja Dhiraj. He ruled for 36 years and died in 148 BC. The last ruler of the Sangha dynasty was Devabhumi. Next, we will see the Kanava dynasty 73 BCE to 28 BCE. Vasudeva was the founder of the Kanava dynasty. He ruled only over the region around Magadha in about 27 BCE. The last Kannava king was killed by the Satavahana king Semuka, and the new dynasty of Satavahanas came into power. Next, we will discuss Satavahanas 28 BCE to CE 225. Both Sangha and Kannava were busy in suppressing the internal revolts, hence, they could not consolidate themselves, which led to the rise of regional powers. One of them was Satavahanas. The most powerful ruler of the Satavahanas was Gautami Putra, Satakarni. They set up their power in the upper Godavari valley. Gradually, the Satavahanas extended their power to Karnataka and Andhra. The Satavahana kings were called the lords of the Dakshinapatha. At times, the entire South India was called Dakshinapatha. The capital of the Satavahana was Paithan in Maharashtra. They had trade links with Roman Empire. The Satavahana ruler performed Vedic sacrifices and worshipped Hindu deities. They also promoted Buddhism. They were responsible for the construction of many rock-cut temples and monasteries in Maharashtra. Bactrians, Siddhivus, Kushana and Parthians. The Indo-Greek, the Sakas, the Parthians and the Kusanas were the main tribes among the foreign tribes that entered the Indian subcontinent. Next we will see Indo-Greeks. The Greeks settled in Bactria in Afghanistan and were known as the Bactrians. The Greeks who settled in India were known as Indo-Greeks. The most famous Indo-Greek ruler was Menander. They have great importance in the Indian history. They were the first ruler in India to issue coins bearing the portraits of kings. They also minted the earliest gold coins in India. The Indo-Greeks rule saw the introduction of Greek elements in Indian art. This new style of art to be known as the Gandhara school. The Sakas. The Indo-Greeks were followed by Siddhis from Central Asia. Siddhis ruled over different parts of India and came to be known as the Sakas. The Sakas introduced the satrap system of government. The empire was divided into numerous provinces of satrapies, each under a satrap. Rudradama was the most famous Saka king. He was a great patron of Sanskrit. He was a great ruler and tried to improve the conditions of the people by irrigating vast tract of land. He also had to his credit the repair work he undertook to improve the Sudarshana Lake in Kathiawar. A Sikh ruler of Ujjain is said to have started a new era known as Saka era in 78 CE. The government of India adopted the Saka era from March 22, 1957 along with the Gregorian calendar for official purposes such as news broadcasts and government communications. Saka calendar is based on the Saka era with Chaitra as the first month of a normal year of 365 days. The Parthians. The Parthians came from Iran. The most famous Indo-Parthian king was Gondoparens, in whose Children, turn the page. In whose reign Saint Thomas the Apostle is believed to have come to India to spread the teaching of Jesus Christ. After the disintegration of their kingdom in India, the Parthians got themselves absorbed into the mainstream of India. Okay, students, thank you.